Episode 18, August 1914 and after. Horses honoured in their country's service. Read by Tina Stringer. In quiet paddock and loose box there lived today many of the horses who shared so nobly the peril of their masters in the Great War. Nearly 250,000 were killed. The survivors are advanced in years, but have by no means lost the gallant spirit which enabled them to endure hardship and danger at the call of duty. Horses fulfilled their hazardous tasks in war with extraordinary patience and courage. They would stand up unflinchingly to shell fire, which terrified them, and still worse, conquer the agonies of fear always excited by the smell of blood. They were slaughtered by bombs and high explosive shells, gassed, drowned in the mud, exposed to every kind of hardship of weather, and sometimes kept for weeks without proper stabling. One of the saddest losses occurred on the first day of the retreat from Mons, during the cavalry action at Illuge, when 300 fine horses were massacred, many of them high-bred animals from Lord Rothschild's stables. Altogether during the war, 225,856 of these faithful animals lost their lives. By 1917, there were 869,931 horses on active service, and it is astonishing but true that the total weight of the forage which it was necessary to export to the various theatres of war was greater than that of the total amount of shells and other ammunition sent out to feed the guns. There are still living in peaceful retirement in this country and in Belgium a number of gallant old horses who took part in the Great War. One of the most famous of them is Warrior, 30-year-old charger belonging to Lord Mottiston. In August 1914, Warrior landed at Havre with his master, then Colonel Jack Seeley, served through the whole length of the war, and returned to take part in the Victory March through London. One of this old horse's earliest experiences was of the Long Street at Le Cateau, where, when the British Army was advancing to battle at Mons, Field Marshal Sir John French's headquarters staff were cheered as saviours by the unfortunate civilian population waving little Union Jacks. Sir John French himself often rode Warrior. His master, Lord Mottiston, tells of the true heroism which Warrior showed in conquering his fear of shell fire. Indeed, he finally became so used to the sound of battle that he seemed to be irresistibly attracted towards the scene. More than once Lord Mottiston had other horses shot under him, but Warrior bore a charmed life. He survived the battles of Ypres, of the Somme, of Arras, the March 18 retreat, of Cambrai, and indeed put in an appearance in most notable actions. Once Warrior carried his master 50 miles on a night ride to a threatened part of France. He became so well known to the troops that it was the horse, not his popular master, who received their greetings. "Here comes old Warrior," they would shout as he trotted past them. One of Lord Mottiston's friends thus wrote about this famous horse: "Unselfish loyalty, indomitable courage, exhibiting an entire disregard of danger, and a generous nature, always giving of his best. These were qualities inherent in Warrior." After the war, Warrior came back to his master's estate in the Isle of Wight, but his retirement has been full of excitement, riding to hounds and winning a point-to-point in 1922. Now at the age of 30, old Warrior still carries his master and is supremely happy in his loose box and his paddock. One of the most widely known of the war veterans is Colonel Sir Percy Lorry's Quicksilver. While Sir Percy Lorry was Deputy Assistant Commissioner and Chief of the Mounted Branch at Scotland Yard, Quicksilver, a beautiful grey, was a familiar figure in every London procession of importance. He too was in the Victory March and attended the funerals of all the great war leaders. His war service started on the Somme in 1916, when he joined General Sir Aylmer Hunter Weston's staff and was handed over to Sir Percy Lorry. He was ridden continuously until the end of the war and was wounded by shrapnel at the Battle of the Somme. After a spell in occupied Germany, he came to London in 1919 when his master joined the police. Quicksilver wears the Order of the Blue Cross and the 1916 to 18 Victory and General Service medals. He has collected in his nosebag, on behalf of the Royal Veterinary College, about £275 and has the honour of a loose box in the college dedicated to his name. Quicksilver, who is 28, is reported by his master to be very well. I still hack him, writes Sir Percy, and he was out with the hounds last Boxing Day. In the grounds of a beautiful old chateau in Belgium, there are grazing today 9 or 10 old British war horses who have been rescued by our Dumb Friends League from a life of toil. These are horses that were sold into Belgian ownership after the war. Now, as the guests of the aged Duchesse de Troyes, they are assured for life of rich pasturage and comfortable stables. It is now officially stated that all surviving war horses in Belgium and France that can be repatriated have been brought back to their home country as old age pensioners of the paddock.
I'll be gentle,